As of 7 a.m., Hurricane Ian is located roughly 80 miles south-southwest of Charlotte County, and it's moving north-northeast at 10 miles per hour. It is now a Category 4 hurricane with maximum sustained winds of up to 155 miles per hour. That is knocking on the door of a Category 5 storm. We expect landfall in southwest Florida later today as a major hurricane, and will slowly move across the central Florida peninsula before exiting the northeast Florida coast, probably sometime on Thursday. Much of southern Florida is already experiencing impacts from the storm as it moves closer to landfall. There have been several tornado warnings issued during the overnight hours, and we expect to see that continue today. A storm of this magnitude will produce catastrophic flooding and life-threatening storm surge on the Gulf Coast of Florida, and the highest risk areas are ranging from Collier County up to Sarasota County. The current track has the storm making landfall in Charlotte County. If you are in any of those counties, it's no longer possible to safely evacuate. It's time to hunker down and prepare for this storm. This is a powerful storm that should be treated like you would treat if a tornado was approaching your home. If you're out on the roads, get to a safe place as soon as possible. There's more than 200 shelters open in just the southwest Florida region alone. We're already seeing bridge closures. The Skyway Bridge is closed now, going from Manatee to Pinellas counties. There's 40,000 power outages reported, but outside of southwest Florida, crews are responding to those power outages. Don't go outside in the eye of the storm. It's still dangerous. There's actually a calmness if the center of the hurricane is right over you. You think maybe the storm has passed. That's not the case. It's still very dangerous. There's possibilities of tornadoes. It would also be very difficult to potentially get back into your home. So even if it seems calm, wait to make sure that the storm has actually passed. Once the storm has passed and it's safe to go outside, I urge you to be cautious. Avoid downed power lines. Avoid standing water. Stay clear of damaged trees. If you are using a generator for power, make sure that that is being operated outside your home. Do not operate that indoors. And then don't drive in flooded streets. People will look and think they can drive through it, and it doesn't work out well for them. As the storm has approached, we've already had enough winds to have local bridges closed. So the bridge on State Road 64, Manatee Avenue East, has now been closed. The bridge at SR 684 and Cortez Road has now been closed, and the John Ringling Causeway has been closed. And that is basically a function of when the winds reach a certain threshold. Obviously, you're going to see more bridge use suspended given the ferocity of this storm. This morning, Director Guthrie asked for additional airlift, hoist, and high water vehicles from the Department of Defense in coordination with FEMA. The Department of Transportation also has 1,200 personnel on standby to perform cut and toss operations. We're bringing in supplies by plane, boat, and by high water vehicle. All the airports in Southwest Florida have leave-behind teams in place so that they will be able to get the runways in good shape once the storm has passed. We have 5,000 Florida Guardsmen activated, 2,000 from neighboring states. We have air assets, urban search and rescue teams stationed now in Miami that will be able to respond over to Southwest Florida. Florida Fish and Wildlife, both vehicle assets, water assets, and air assets. And the U.S. Coast Guard is now staged 4 cutters. They also have shallow draft vessels ready to provide search and rescue assistance to the flooded areas. There are over 30,000 linemen staged and ready for power restoration efforts across the state of Florida, and that includes linemen across all of our major utilities, and a lot of these linemen are coming from out of state. So this is a major, major effort. Of course, the storm has to pass. There needs to be the ability for them to get in and access what they need to access, but that's going to be a priority, and Kevin and his team are going to be working hard on that. I want to thank the 26 states that have sent support to us during this time, including Tennessee, Virginia, Montana, Louisiana, New York, Colorado, Indiana, New Jersey, and Georgia. We very much appreciate the assistance, and as this storm hits, we've got massive amounts of assets that are staged, but we're already discussing about ways where we can get more value-added support. So most of you have said call, and we may be doing just that as the recovery efforts go forward. So this is a major, major storm. It's something that we knew was going to be significant. The strengthening of this over the last night, has been really, really significant. It's potentially that it could make landfall as a Category 5, but clearly this is a very powerful major hurricane that's going to have major impacts, both on impact in Southwest Florida, but then as it continues to work through the state, it is going to have major, major impacts in terms of wind, in terms of rain, in terms of flooding. So this is going to be a nasty, nasty day, 2 days. Probably we think now it will be exiting the peninsula sometime on Thursday. Yesterday, based on how fast it was moving, thought maybe it wouldn't be till the wee hours of Friday morning. So this is going to be a rough stretch. We're here to respond to the areas that are affected once the storm has passed. Local emergency responders are standing by, ready to go. I think most people heeded the warnings of doing the evacuations in those very sensitive locations, but not everyone may have done that. And so we understand that a storm of this magnitude, there's going to be a need, to begin those rescue efforts apace. Kevin Guthrie is here for an update from Florida DEM.
Thank you, Governor. Hurricane Ian, as the governor has mentioned, is projected to make landfall this afternoon on the Charlotte County coast. This will cause life-threatening storm surge, flooding. Tropical storm force winds will be felt throughout the entire state, and even isolated tornadoes. I urge Floridians who have made the decision to shelter in place, to stay indoors, and stay off the roads. You do not want to be outdoors or on the roads as a storm of this size is making landfall in your area. It is extremely dangerous. If you have battery-operated or hand-crank weather radios, you should be checking them now, changing the batteries, making sure that they work. Power outages will occur. If you get a weather alert for a tornado, and as the governor has already mentioned, if you're in the Southwest Florida area, you should make the same preparations as if it is a tornado going over your house. Get to an interior room, free of windows. Have stuff to be able to protect your head and body from the debris, such as a blanket, sleeping bag, mattress, or even potentially helmets. If there are flash flood warnings in your area, remember, it is never safe to walk or drive through flooded areas. We continue to coordinate with all of our electrical partners. As the governor has mentioned, there are over 30,000 linemen staged throughout the city, from north central Florida all the way down to Miami. As areas in South Florida and the Keys begin to experience power outages, remember to contact your service provider, not 911, for power restoration. You can also keep your refrigerators shut. Open them as little as possible to help preserve your perishable items. If you're using a generator, as we've been saying now for days, remember to keep it elevated, on a hard surface, away from doors and windows, outside of garages. This will help you stay safe.